Here he is. Aren't we all happy? You're about to get it. Here's Sean Buvala. Please give him a big hand. Welcome him to Hawaii.
Up there, near Galway, actually, in the town of Connemara, right there on the coast, there lived a fisherman and his wife. And he was a very good fisherman. He produced all kinds of catch. And each day he would bring that catch home and he would give it to his wife, and her job was to prepare it, you know, to clean it, to wrap it, to get it ready for market. And this went on year after year. It was how they made their living, until one day, when she woke up in the morning, the fish that she had prepared the night before had been torn into, had been ripped apart, had been destroyed and eaten, and it was clear that it had been a cat. By the way, if you love cats, I apologize in advance for this story. And if you do, there's 357,000 of them out there, so you'll be ready. And it had been ripped into, and each morning when she got up again, there it was that had been ripped into, and she thought, this cat, I must stop this cat. And so she came upon a plan. She decided that she would wait for this cat to appear. So she invited in one of the young neighborhood girls to sit in the corner and work on the catch that night. She invited over one of her friends who would sit at the spinning wheel, and she would wait with her. And she would sit by the fire. So all three women in the room, the friend sitting at the spinning wheel with a great big stick down on the ground, they were ready. And the fisherman's wife stuck a poker in the fire so it grew to be red hot. And they waited, and they waited, and they waited, and they waited. It seemed that that cat would never come back, and they waited. When wham! The door opened, and in walked the largest black cat they had ever seen, with burning red eyes. And the little girl in the corner cried out, "Oh, it is the devil himself!" And with that, the cat shot up in the air and flew to the little girl and began to bite her and scratch her and scratch her and bite her. Oh, it was terrible. She was screaming, "Oh, oh, it was terrible!" And the cat flew back to the door, slammed its body against the door, and said, "That will teach you to have more respect for a gentleman caller." When I, Sean, was 18 years old, I lived in a house with 4 other guys. 5 of us, 4-bedroom house. I lived in the den. My door was a piece of plywood. Amazing what you'll do when you're 18 years old. And we lived in this really crowded house. And one of my roommates decided we were not yet crowded enough. And so he adopted a cat. A Siamese cat. You know, "Oh, I love her. You don't understand her." Yes, we do. She's stupid. And he named the cat Mei Li. Now, he chose this word from some bizarre Sanskrit language type thing, and I looked it up once, and I researched what that name meant. Li means all y'all, all you all, vosotros, all of you. And Mei means I hate, so the name of the cat was I Hate You All. And she did. She could not stand us. She would wait in the house for us to come home and for the car doors to shut and open, and we would have the screen door, you know, shut but the door open. She'd wait, and just as our hand touched that screen door, she would leap up from the center of the floor and attach herself to the screen going, "Ah! I hate tuna! Ah!" Stupid cat. "That will teach you to have more respect for a gentleman caller." Now, a man coming down the road heard this noise going on in the fisherman's cottage, and he thought, "I will help with that." So he grabbed tight hold of that shillelagh, and he walked up to the front door, and he began to push upon the door. But the cat, the demon cat, was pressed up against it, and he couldn't move the door. And he pushed, and the cat pushed back, and he pushed, and the cat pushed back, and he pushed, and the cat pushed back. He couldn't open it. And he bent way low, and he ran his shoulder into the door, and it opened ever so slightly, and he walked inside the door and looked down, and there was that cat. And he picked up that shillelagh, and he began to beat upon the cat, but he too was no match for the cat, for the cat flew up into the air and began to bite him and scratch him as well. Ah! It was terrible. And the man dropped the shillelagh, ran out the door, and down the lane gone. Ah! And the cat slammed his body against the door and said, "Now I will help myself to a meal, and there's no need for you to show me where it is." Stupid cat. Maylee. Stupid cat. She thought she owned all the furniture. Those of you who love cats, I don't know why, but those of you who love cats know that they own the furniture in the house. You're way too fast on, they own all my furniture. They do! And this cat, this chair I'm about to tell you about, when we moved out of the house, we couldn't find her anywhere, and we're all thinking, yay. But we picked up this chair I'm about to tell you about. She was underneath the chair, hanging on upside down like this. So this chair she owned, and if we weren't smart enough to check, we would sit down in the chair playing video games. Now I know some of the young people in this room think, that old guy played video games? So this was post-Nintendo, post-Pong, pre-Nintendo, just if you want to place all this. And so we would do the video games, and we'd have the beverages of choice. 5, 20-something, 18-year-old guys in the house, you figure it out. We'd have the beverages of choice on the table next to us. And we'd be playing games, and she wanted her chair. So she would be underneath that chair, and she'd reach one paw out from one side, and one paw out from the other side. And she'd start scratching her legs. It's my chair! Stupid cat. "Now I will help myself to a meal, and there's no need for you to show me where it is." And the cat leapt up to the table where the food was and began to eat and tear at the food. Now, the fisherman's wife thought, "I will have none of this." She reached into the fireplace, pulled out that red-hot poker. And then her friend picked up the stick next to the spinning wheel. And the two of them came to either side of the cat. And they began to beat upon the cat, but they too were no match for the cat flew up into the air, back and forth, biting and scratching back and forth like something out of the Matrix, back and forth. Until all 3 of the women ran screaming out of the house down into the barn. And the woman and the cat jumped up on the table and began to eat the food. Now, meanwhile, the 3 women out in the barn, the fisherman's wife kept holy water out in the barn. It's an Irish folktale. I can do whatever I want. She took that holy water and she undid it, and she decided that she would sneak back into the house. She went slowly back into the house, slowly opened the door. Snuck up on that cat eating the fish. She began to pour that holy water onto the cat, and when it hit the cat, it burst into flames, filling the room with smoke. Smoke and flames filling the room. All she could see were the burning red eyes of the cat. All the smoke in the room. Maylee, the stupid cat. Unbelievable. The only way to control Maylee was squirt bottles. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Say yes. Thank you. That was the only way to do it. So we had squirt bottles all over the house. We had them in the car, had them on the porch, had them everywhere, had them on the tables, had them everywhere. So when she would leap up and start her little, "I want tuna," yeah! on the screen door, we'd grab a squirt ball and go, "Oh, really?" She'd disappear. Or we'd be sitting at the table playing video games, and she'd go underneath, "It's my chair." We'd reach over, grab a squirt bottle. Sometimes we'd miss and grab a beer instead and spray that with her, which probably wasn't teaching her to do, well, maybe it was teaching her to do that, I'm not sure. So we'd spray so she could disappear. It was the only way to treat that stupid cat, Maylee, was by using squirt bottles all over her. Stupid cat. So the room was filled with smoke and her red, burning eyes. She pushed open the doors, pushed open the windows to clear the room of all the smoke in there. As the smoke cleared was the body of the demon cat, burning and shrinking, 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 until it vanished and was not seen on the earth again until 300 years later, when my roommate adopted it and named it Maylee.